Let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes people make in the personal development space. Hey, my name is Yamil Sr. and I provide coaching for people just like you in the link that is in the description. One of the main problems that people have inside of this whole personal development space is that they become sort of the perpetual learners. This is something that happened to me for the longest time. In fact, I'm slowly overcoming this. So when I got into the personal development space, I started consuming all these books and ideas and videos and conferences and events. And when I did all these things, I would do basically the same thing. I would go to the event, I would feel amazing, I would have all these notebooks filled with notes. I would have all these books that I had to read, and I read all the books and I saw all the videos and I consumed all the content, and then I didn't do absolutely anything with it. If you can relate, throw a "that's me" in the comments. So what's the problem with being in this learning mode? You basically know everything. You basically know what you need to do. You know the right answers. You know the things that you should do in order to overcome whatever it is that you're trying to overcome. You know how to overcome depression. You know how to overcome anxiety. You know how to get out of negative states. You know how to get better at finances. You know how to get better at relationships. You know how to get better in your career. You know how to get better spiritually. But knowing all these things doesn't do jack shit. You need to actually do the work. You need to walk the walk. And the reason why I did this is because I believed, for a very large period of my life, that I needed to know everything before I actually started implementing. Before I actually started doing something about it, I need to know everything. And I mean everything. I need to know all the angles and all the perfect situations and all the mistakes and all the pitfalls and where to go, where not to go, what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do. I needed to know all of these things before I actually started doing something. Because I believed in my mind that I needed to be mentally strong before I actually started acting towards my happiness and fulfillment. Instead of doing what I did, we need to actually do it in reverse. You need to start acting and then start learning as you go. See, one of the main things that got me to that point is understanding a lot of this personal development stuff and a lot of entrepreneurial stuff is actually geared towards this notion of ready, shoot, aim. Instead of ready, aim, shoot, which is what normally we would do, or we would start to believe that, hey, I got to know all this stuff before I actually implement and shoot the idea. It's ready, shoot, aim. So the idea is take action, and then as you go, start implementing these little things. And it makes a lot of sense when I started relating it to other areas of my life. One of the other things I do is I coach MMA. I coach mixed martial arts. Imagine what would happen if I told my students that they needed to understand every single theoretical situation that they would find themselves in a fight instead of actually practicing the techniques. Could you imagine what kind of fighters would I have? I'd have a bunch of people who may understand a lot about fighting, but who cannot fight out of a paper bag. So I needed to implement. I needed to do the work. I needed to do the things that I needed to do, and then actually start learning as I went. But here's the thing that stopped me and stopped a lot of people from actually doing that. One of the main things that stops people from doing that is that they sort of feel that they need to have a certain feeling of motivation or of strength or of confidence to actually do these things. And here's the thing, you're not always going to feel like it, especially if you're doing something new, and especially if you're doing something uncomfortable, which if you're doing personal development, it is by definition uncomfortable. If you're doing new things that are outside of your comfort zone, you need to implement first. You need to create a certain level of momentum. You need to create a certain level of discipline. And that means doing the work even when you do not feel like it. So what is the main thing that you need to understand to actually do these things? I've talked about this in a different video. I'll link that here. But you also need to understand that it works the other way around. You're not going to feel like it and then you're going to actually do it. You're going to do it and then you start actually feeling like it. I noticed this in my own life when it came to physical training, right? I started doing MMA because of personal development. Because of personal development, I started working out and doing MMA. And when I started doing that, at first I didn't feel like it. But I went to classes because I felt like some sort of obligation with my current instructor to actually show up to class. When I showed up to class, then after a while, I started learning, I started getting into it, I started liking it, and then I started feeling like going. And then when I didn't go, I started feeling like crap because I didn't go to the class. So here's the thing that you need to understand. First, implement, then understand the things that you need to understand, figure out where are the gaps, and then understand that that is going to then motivate you to keep going. So it's not, don't wait until you feel like it to actually implement, and you'll start feeling like it. I hope this is helpful to you. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.